Keep, Sell, Loan Defender Edition. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, and this is part 2 of my Keep, Sell, Loan series where I go through Chelsea's players and say whether I should keep, sell, or loan them. Pretty self-explanatory, right? So this is part 2 of 4. This is the Defender edition, and we have so much to get into, so let's talk about it. First off, I'm going to start off with a whopper. I'm just going to get into it. Axel Disasi, and this is a player who Chelsea signed last season for £38.5 million. He had 29 starts in the league and played just over 2,500 minutes for Chelsea as well, so he was largely a starter. But I do feel that a large reason for that was down to injuries, because we did have Wesley Fofana out for the entire season. Colwill was out for a chunk of the season as well, and he was filling in at right back for when Reece James and Malo Gusto were out at the same time, or as coverage in that position. So there were a lot of times when he needed to be put into cover, and I don't think that he's had necessarily a bad season, but I don't think that he's had a standout season either. I really like him as a player, really like him as a person. I feel like he brings personality, and I absolutely love to see that as a fan on the pitch, and just to see the players going absolutely wild and really fighting. So that bit I absolutely love, but I'm still just not 100% convinced that he's what we need, especially compared to the other players that we already have. So we do have Tosin Adarabioyo coming in as well. Remember that we signed him from Fulham on a free transfer. If you don't know anything about him, make sure to check out my video on him. That's a deep dive into what he will bring into Chelsea, but I just don't think that he's necessarily needed. So if we take a look at the centre backs, you have Trevoh Chalobah, Levi Colwill, Wesley Fofana if he's fit, then you have Adarabioyo. That's already 4. And does he necessarily start above these 4 centre backs? I don't think so. Taking a look at some stats for alike players in this position, he's rated 60 in the 66th percentile for progressive passes, averaging just under 4 per 90 minutes. His defensive numbers are quite low. He's in the 23rd percentile for tackles, the 7th for interceptions, the 11th for blocks, and the 41st for clearances. I really like him, but given what we've seen from him, given the players that I think are coming in, where he stands, I don't see him really playing above these players. I think he could easily become a 5th choice center back, and so for those reasons I would sell Axel Disasi. But in my Instagram stories where you all voted for your keep, sell, loan for the Chelsea players, definitely follow me on Instagram if you don't already, so that you can participate in these games as well. It was 64% for keep, so I'm definitely in the minority here. I was surprised that it was like such a high percentage for keep as well, but that's why we play these games. Next up we have Marc Cucurella, and this one was like really difficult for me because he started the season out pretty shaky. I don't think that he had a great start to the season, but then he ended it super well, and he was very strong. And Maresca likes to play with that inverted fullback, and we saw as an inverted fullback towards the end of last season, Cucurella was extremely strong and very, very good defensively. We've also seen for Spain in the Euros that he, at least in the one game that he's played so far, at the time of recording this video, he had a really good game for Spain as well. But I don't know, a part of me just feels a little bit torn. Like, I just have like this gut feeling like I'm not 100% sure on this player. I think if you're looking at the grand scheme of things, it's probably a keep for me. But there was a large majority, 84% of you said to keep Cucurella, and I'm definitely feeling a little bit more wobbly in my keep. It's not like a strong keep for me. if Spain does have a really good Euros, if he has a good Euros, could there be a market for somebody to buy him? We did pay a lot of money for him. The other thing to take into consideration is that Chelsea are rumored to be looking for left back. So does that mean that we keep Cucurella and Chilwell? Does that mean that we're selling one of them? Are we just getting a replacement for one of the left backs that we've sold? I don't know. But for me, it's not as straightforward of a keep as it might be. So let me know in the comments what you think about Cucurella, because he was one of the hardest ones for me. So speaking of Ben Chilwell, for me, I think he's like a very clear keep. It was really split in the poll. It's 59% keep, so leaning more towards keep, but 37% sell. And at one time, it was a straight 50-50. And I think like I'm one of the biggest Ben Chilwell supporters out there, so maybe I'm a little bit biased. I do try to think super clearly, and the thing is, I just think he's so strong attacking wise and defensive wise. I don't think that you give up on him just yet. I want to see him have at least one more season. He has been super injury prone, and he really needs to have a season where he's playing 75% of games if he's the starting left back in this system, in order to kind of shake that doubt away. In the last 3 seasons, he has played just about 2,700 minutes. And this season, he started just 9 league games and played in 13 and only played 756 minutes. So it really has been an injury crisis for Ben Chilwell over the past 3 seasons, the same as it has been with Reece James. And I've said it once, I've said it a million times on this channel, like I really do feel that a big part of why Chelsea have been struggling is because Reece James and Ben Chilwell are 2 of our best players, and they have both been out for the past like 2 to 3 seasons through injury. So I really hope that he can get those injury concerns under wraps. No pun intended, does that make sense? And I know how much it affects him. He's come out and said it. He's Chelsea's vice captain as well, and you just want to see the best for him. You don't want a player to leave because they just can't shake the injuries. Like, that's never good. So I really do hope for the best for Ben Chilwell, and if he's fit, I do think that he can fit in the system. I do think that he's a crazy threat attacking wise. We saw he wasn't having his best games this season, but as I said, he hasn't been able to be consistent. He hasn't been able to shake the injury, so that definitely doesn't help. So for me, Ben Chilwell is a keep, but we do need to monitor him, as much as I hate saying that, to see if he can't shake the injury concerns, because then maybe you do look to sell him in a future season. Next up, we have Benoit Badiashile. He came from France in a Lamborghini. And it was a pretty split decision on Instagram. 52% of you said to keep and 36% said to sell. He's another player who signed for Chelsea last year. We bought him for 38 million euros, and we signed him in January, so I thought that he had a pretty good end to the season 2 seasons ago, and then this season he's just been very up and down. So I don't think that he's necessarily going to be starting for Chelsea. I do think that that spot spoiler is going to go to Levi Colwill, but I don't think that it's time to sell him just yet. I do feel that Chelsea did a lot of transfer business. Some of them have been massive hits, some of them have been pretty good, and others haven't been working out, and I would kind of put him into that pretty good category, where I don't think that it's time to sell him just yet. So I would personally hold on to him and kind of see where it goes, and there's going to be plenty of games between the Premier League, the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, the Europa Conference League as well, that he'll have to come in, and we have seen that he can do a job there, so hopefully he's just able to kind of get some confidence back after the injury and keep going. Next up, we have Trevoh Chalobah, another centre back. 74% of you voted to keep him, and I agree. I would keep Trevoh Chalobah. I think he's one of the strongest centre backs that Chelsea have. I absolutely don't understand potentially selling him this summer. I haven't heard any rumors so far that have picked up, but let's see what happens at the end of the transfer window. But I do think that he's potentially a starter for Chelsea. We could have him fighting for one of those center back spots. But like I said, there's a lot of players here that are competing for spots, but there's also a lot of games as well. A little bit of competition could bring out the best in them, but I just don't think that you sell Trevoh Chalobah. I think that we do have the squad depth to be able to keep him. And if it were between Chalobah or Disasi for me, I think Chalobah is the better player. He also adds to your homegrown count as well. I know that he represents pure profit from the club's perspective, but I just don't think it makes sense to sign players who are going to be equal or worse value when you can just keep the one you have and save that money. So yeah, for me, Trevoh Chalobah is a keep. Next up, we have Reece James, and obviously I'm going to keep Reece James. He was one of your highest rated players at 92% keep. I'm honestly a little bit surprised that it wasn't higher, but I'm guessing the injury concerns might have been a contributing factor for some of you, and obviously that's something that needs to be ironed out and looked at as well. When he's fit, Reece James is one of the best right backs, the best players in the world. I do think that he's world class in that position, but the key words there are when he's fit, which he hasn't been for the past 2 to 3 seasons. In the 2022-2023 season, he only had 14 starts and 1,244 minutes played. And last season, he only had 5 starts and 419 minutes played. And he also missed a couple of games because of some silly red cards that he's gotten as well. So he definitely needs to iron that out of his game. He can't be the captain and be getting these red cards, and now he's missing the first 3 games of the season, this coming season. That can't be happening. Reece James is a super talented player. I want him to be fit. I want him to play for Chelsea. I really hope that having missed the large majority of this season, hopefully he can finally get back on track and take preseason and really get his fitness up to standard so that he can be a starter for Chelsea. But that leads me to our next player, Malo Gusto, who in my opinion has been one of the best signings that this new ownership has made. I was really excited about him. I actually got asked, it was on Football Daily, like, who would you rather sign? And it was in the January transfer window between all of the people that Chelsea were linked with, and it was Malo Gusto and Enzo Fernandez. And everybody's like, Enzo. And I was like, this Malo Gusto seems like the real deal. Like, maybe I'll get cooked for not saying Enzo, but he really seems amazing and he's stepped up. And I think it's so crazy that we haven't felt Reece's absence as much as we have in past seasons, because he stepped into those really crazy shoes to fill. Got 6 assists last season in the league. I just love his tenacity. I love his spirit. I love his fight and his drive. I think he's a brilliant player. And dare I say, could he potentially fight for Reece James for that #1 spot? Realistically, if Reece is fit, I think that he's going to be the starting right back. But Malo Gusto has just done such an incredible job. For me, he's an absolute keep. And he was one of the highest rated keeps among you. He was at 96%. Next up, we have Levi Colwill. Contrary to those reports that he might be interested in joining Bayern, I don't think that he's going anywhere this season, this year. And I think that he is so talented and can easily become the first or second choice center back among this pair of center backs that we've been talking about. I just think he's so good. Another key point is that his passing is just through the roof. He really has a crazy ability to especially pick these long balls and diagonal passes, and I think that that's going to be super key in this Maresca system and could unlock our attack. So I think that he's going to definitely be one of the key players to watch in the upcoming season, and he could really thrive in this Maresca appointment. And 88% of you agreed with me that we should keep Levi Colwill. Next up is Wesley Fofana, and he's had a really unfortunate career at Chelsea so far. He really hasn't played that many minutes. When he has played, I think he's looked like a crazy talent. When we signed him, I was so excited because he was just one of my favorite players outside of Chelsea that were playing in the Premier League at that time, and I couldn't believe that we signed him. We signed him for, I think, around 70 million pounds, something like that, and he just hasn't been able to play. He missed the entirety of last season through a terrible injury, and his injury record prior to that isn't looking great. He played 7 games in the 2021-22 season and 14 in the 22-23 season, and then missed the entirety of last season. So he's somebody else that really has a lot of injury concerns, and when fit I think he could be phenomenal for Chelsea, but again the key is when he's fit, which is a massive question mark. So I think you do give Wesley Fofana this season. I want to see how he gets on and then reevaluate next season to see if he is able to stay fit or if he's still struggling with injuries. But he's somebody that I would be really sad to see go, because I do think that he is such a talented player. And like I said before, never want to see players sold because of their injury records. Like, it's so unfortunate. And 71% of you agreed with me that we should keep Wesley Fofana. Next up we have Alfie Gilchrist, and I just like love this kid's spirit. I love his fight. I love the energy that he brings. I think he just completely won over the Chelsea fan base in the couple of games that he featured in. His goal celebration when he scored his first goal for Chelsea like made me tear up and is like forever going to be remembered as such a special moment. Like, I just absolutely loved it. And the question is, like, do you keep Alfie Gilchrist in the team or do you loan him out? And this was a 45% split on Instagram. And for me, it really depends whether or not Reece James is fit, because if he's not, then Alfie could easily fill into that right back spot or backup right back spot potentially. But you do want to count on the fact that Reece James should be fit. So do you wait to see how Reece James gets on? Do you risk not having a good like position for a loan? I don't know. I think at the end of the day, I'm leaning towards loaning him out just because I feel like he could really benefit from having the minutes and like being a consistent starter in a team, hopefully, and then becoming a more well-rounded profile. But it wasn't easy because I really like this. Like, the academy players just like win over my heart. It's so hard to see them leave. Next up, perhaps you forgot about him. We still have Malo Gusto. Chelsea were trying to sell him in the January transfer window, but were unable to. And so I do think that they sell him this summer. I don't see any situation in which he stays. And then we have two a bit formality players. We have Ian Maatsen and Lewis Hall. So Lewis Hall has been sold to Newcastle because he reached the targets that were set in the contract to trigger the clause to buy him. And that for me was a really unfortunate one, because he could play as a left back, he could play in midfield. He's really young, he's really talented. So he's one that I think that we could regret selling easily. And then Ian Maatsen as well. I really just don't. The only reason I would get if we sold in Maatsen is because he would want to be an out-and-out starter somewhere and have like first team game time, which he might not necessarily have at Chelsea. He likely wouldn't have at Chelsea, having Cucurella and Chilwell ahead of him in the pecking order. But he had a brilliant season on loan at Dortmund, played in the Champions League final, and Chelsea are looking to sell him, but they're also looking to potentially buy a left back. So my head is kind of like, why are you looking to buy a left back when you're selling one? Like, it doesn't quite make sense to me. Again, the only reason I can think is two reasons I can think of. One, profit in terms of the academy players, pure profit on your books. And if you're looking at Chalobah, Gallagher, or Ian Maatsen, if you're picking one of those three, maybe you're picking Maatsen to sell out of them. But also, again, what I mentioned, the game time. If he wants out-and-out game time as a first-team starter, then he's likely not going to have that at Chelsea next season. So he's one that I would very begrudgingly sell. It seems that he's on his way out, but I'm not happy about it. I think he's a really talented player, and it could be yet another one that bites us in the butt in the future. So guys, those are all of the defenders. There are probably a couple that I've left out. I'm not going to go through all of like the under 21s and academy players. I might sprinkle in a couple of names here and there. But I do think I've gotten everybody. Let me know if there's somebody that I missed for whatever reason. And yeah, if you agree with my keep, sell, loan decisions for this video. So just to do a quick roundup so that you have it. It is, for me, Disasi, sell. Cucurella, keep. Chilwell, keep. Badiashile, keep. Chalobah, keep. Reece James, keep. Gusto, keep. Colwill, keep. Fofana, keep. Gilchrist, loan. Sarr, sell. Maatsen, sell. Lewis Hall, sell. Do you agree, disagree with that? Let me know down in the comments what you think. And I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed researching it, analyzing it, making it. So I hope that you did as well. Like I said, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are, because this is really up for debate and I love hearing what you guys think about it. Watch out for part 3 of this dropping tomorrow, unless there's some crazy transfer news that comes up that I just have to make a video about and then postpone the upload of the midfielders video. But keep your eyes out on for that. If there's any content that you would like to see from me over this transfer period, over the summer, do let me know down in the comments. Like, comment, sub, turn the notifications on. All that good stuff helps people to find my channel and helps my video to get suggested to others so that they can see it. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day, evening, whatever time you're watching this. And until next time, I'm out. Bye!